Many thanks for staying with us. Now, a lawyer has challenged the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, over his police role, or the role of the police, in enforcing a third-party insurance. The IGP had announced on February 1st, 2025 as the commencement date for the enforcement of the law, which mandates all vehicle owners to possess a third-party insurance before operating their vehicles on public roads. The lawyer's challenge comes after the IGP met with the Commissioner for Insurance, the National Insurance Commission, that's NAICOM, to discuss the enforcement of compulsory third-party vehicle insurance. The IGP emphasized that Section 68 of the Insurance Act and Sections 312 of the 1945 Motor Vehicle Third-Party Act makes third-party insurance compulsory for all vehicle owners. It's unclear what specific aspects of the police role in enforcing third-party insurance the lawyer is challenging. However, the development highlights the ongoing debate about the implementation of the law and the police role in enforcing it. Now, joining me on the program this evening is Kudus Alalafia. He's a legal practitioner. He joins virtually from Abuja. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being here once again. Happy New Year to fellow Nigerians. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you to you too once again. Now, let's get to it. Is it within the purview of the police to enforce, compliance when it comes to insurance cover? Because, I mean, typically in a place like Lagos, you have the LASMA, you have the VIO, you have the road safety, you have all manner of agencies on the road, and then the police, all of them claiming to have some sort of role to play in ensuring compliance on our highways. But is it really the role of the police, according to the law, to ensure compliance when it comes to insurance?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. The answer to that before explanation is a yes. And let's start from where the confusion starts from to where the answer lies. Now, the confusion lies where the Act, which is the Motor Vehicle Third-Party Insurance Act, has not specifically mentioned the body, the government parastatal, the government agency, the government security outfits to enforce that particular law, unlike other enactments that we have. That is where the confusion comes from. But when we want to look at our interpretation of our various enactments, you do not take these enactments in piecemeal. You take them holistically. You look at it from the Act itself, which is the primary enactment in this regard, the Motor Vehicle Third-Party Insurance Act. You look at the Nigerian Police Force Act 2020. You also look at the FRSC Act in this regard. And by the time you look at all these laws, you now try to identify what is the true intention of the draftsmen of the law. Now, the thing is this. Under Section 3, subsection 2 of the Motor Vehicle Insurance Act, Third-Party Insurance Act, specify and create an offense for every motor vehicle holder or for everyone who drives a motor vehicle without a third-party insurance. It creates that offense and says it becomes an offense. But that section is silent as to who is in charge, who is going to enforce. In fact, what that section simply says is, once you are found guilty of not having a third-party insurance, and at the time you are driving, you are liable to an imprisonment for 1 year, or a fine, or even both. Now, but the Act did not, or has not stipulated who is in charge of the enforcement under that section. Then that takes us to section 20 of that same act. If you look at section 20 of that same act, subsection 3, it now says, okay, where a motor vehicle, where anyone who is in charge or in possession of a motor vehicle now has a forged document or alter a document purported to be a third-party insurance, or that borrows or lends, then it gives the power to the police to arrest upon inspection of the person's vehicle documents. Now, of course, lawyers will say he didn't say they should enforce the holder of the third party. He's saying if you hold it, but it turns out to be forged. Now, that takes us to, okay, let's go into the FRSC Act. The FRSC Act, section 10, subsection 4, paragraph H and L, now says an FRSC official or officer has the power to arrest anyone who does not have a valid vehicle documents, vehicle papers. So among the vehicle papers in this regard is the third-party insurance, the third-party insurance that we are talking about. If you look at the L, paragraph L says where the third-party insurance is forged, FRSC official also has the power to arrest. Now the question now is this: how does the police now comes into play? Then recourse will now be made to the NPF Act 2020. Now, one thing I want Nigerians to know is that police officers, by virtue of section 4 of their act, has enormous power, has wide range of power. In fact, if I am in court, verbatim, it says section 4, subsection 1, paragraph D, says the police officer shall enforce all laws and regulations without any prejudice to the enabling acts of other security agencies. Let's even start from there. Shall have all, that is the word. They have all power to enforce all laws without prejudice. Without prejudice simply means, notwithstanding the fact that the FRSC has the power to do this thing, they also have the power to do same. Now, if you now go do a community reading of the entire section 4, one says, paragraph A says, prevent and detect crimes, protect the rights and freedom of every person in Nigeria provided in the Constitution. Come further a bit. Maintain public safety, law, and order. Go further. Facilitate the free passage and movement on highways, roads, and streets open to the public. Now, if you read that section 4, particularly paragraph H and paragraph G, in line with section 20, subsection 3 of the Motor Insurance Motor Vehicle Third-Party Insurance Act, which gives in the Motor Vehicle Third-Party Insurance Act, the only agency that the Act made mention of is the Nigerian Police, and that's under section 20. And so, now, by the act of the police, they have the power to enforce every other law. The Motor Vehicle Insurance and the Motor Vehicle Third-Party Insurance Act has also now identified them under section 20. All right. FRSC, by their own act, says they have the power to inspect, but that act did not abrogate the power or the exercise of the power of the Nigerian police. So simply put, while the FRSC has the power to also enforce same, the Nigerian police also have the power to enforce it. Now, to end everything, everything boils down to Nigeria's system of duplicability. We duplicate things a whole lot. And we've stated the times with that number. EFCC, it will stress you that majority of the functions of the EFCC can even be carried out by, by police through the NFIU, the Financial Intelligence Unit of the Nigerian Police. They can do it. So you cannot say because, oh, there is a particular agency which has that statutory role. Their enactment has not stopped. It has not in any way say to the exclusion of every other person, every other agency. Then this is the only agency that can act.
Okay. I mean, your points. Your points have been.
Just let me land.
Okay.
The Police Force Act says the police has the power to enforce all laws and regulations. So, strictly speaking, both the police or the FRSC or any other, statutory agencies who has been authorized to do so can do that in that regard. Thank you very much.
All right, Kudus, I mean, you've actually made some points here, but we would go on a break. When we return, we'll also look at the idea of the third-party insurance itself and the level of, will I call it, awareness of its usefulness, you know, on the part of Nigerians. And if at all, some conditions surrounding it needs to be reviewed. We'll talk about that once we return. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Of course, it's still Politics HQ. And at this time, we are looking at the third-party insurance, which, of course, Nigerian police started compulsory enforcement on Nigerian roads from February 1st, according to a directive by the nation's Inspector General of Police. I still have Kudus Alalafia, who's a legal practitioner, who joins virtually from Abuja. Kudus, thank you for staying with me. Now, just a brief, highlight on what the third-party insurance entails. Is a type of motor insurance that covers damages and injuries caused to someone else or their property in an accident. In Nigeria, it is compulsory that all vehicles have at least the third-party insurance. Now, what, of course, does this do for you? Liability coverage, property damage, and some level of, medical expenses, you know. My question to you is this. In terms of the level of awareness of what this insurance covers, do you think that Nigerians are enlightened? Because most times when you see accidents on the road, people more or less don't exchange insurance details. But instead, what you hear is maybe they move to a panel beater by the roadside to patch things up, forgetting that, you know, this if their car is insured with a third party, the other person is to some extent covered. So in terms of the level of awareness, are Nigerians pretty much aware as to what that insurance entails?
Well, the truth is that Nigerians are not well informed. Nigerians do not. Some people are even hearing this particular insurance for the first time. Even personally, I've seen people reaching out to me personally to lecture them on what it entails, on how do they go about it. And I feel that before the IGP, through its officers, before they start the enforcement of this particular law, I think they should go on sensitization first. Of course, maybe perhaps through the National Orientation Agency or even through the FRSC, they collaborate with them, or even through the division of the traffic law division of the Nigerian police. Let them go on holistic sensitization, awareness of this particular scheme. And see, the truth is that people that are informed, that are well informed, whether you are rich or you are poor, people that are well informed and they have registered, they have their valid third-party insurance in active. subsisting, whenever you see them on the road colliding, or maybe there is a little scratch, you will just see people, or I mean people in this category moving on with their lives while they exchange contact, and of course, requisite requisition is made to the insurance company that has the sole responsibility to bear that liability. But when you now look at the people that are not informed, which are, to me, they are more than 80% of Nigerians. I've seen situations where I was in a what do you call it, in a cab. I don't want to make an advertisement. One of these online service this thing. I was there and an SUV hit the cab from behind. You know, the owner of the SUV just came down, gave his ID card and his information to the driver, and asked him to forward all the money expected of him to expend on the car, on his vehicle, and that he would forward it to his insurance company to take care of it. At that point, I came in as a lawyer and I started, because even the driver was already agitated. Was like, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean insurance? He doesn't even understand. He did not understand it. So I had to explain to him that yes, it happens. And of course, since he had made mention of his insurance company, then what has happened? Of course, it is the insurance company that will bear that cost. The essence of insurance, everybody should know, is to come in the event of situations beyond human control. It is not only, if you want to fly, at the point of booking, you will see a part of your insurance, I mean, a fee that you need to pay for insurance in the event your luggage gets lost. So, I mean, in that regard, the insurance company bear the cost. So it's not the whole essence.
I mean, you've given some scenarios, but for some Nigerians, so they would also ask, like, we know that there are different categories of insurance. There are some that are pretty much carryover. So yes, even if you don't use it within a year, it automatically can be rolled over to the next year, the comprehensive insurance, for instance. But the third party seems to be one-off. So it used to be 5,000 naira for cars, that's just normal cars on the road, but it was jacked up to 15,000, and people pay it annually. But some are beginning to ask that, look, if I don't use, for instance, my 15,000 naira this year, even though it's a third party, shouldn't there be some sort of provision in the law that maybe can allow for a carryover? I did not use it. So if I'm not carrying over that money, what happens to my money at the end of the day? So my question to you is this, maybe from a legal standpoint, is there any provision as such for unused covers under this category?
Oh, thank you. As far as the Motor Vehicle Insurance, Third-Party Insurance Act is concerned, this particular category you mentioned is not covered. And of course, it is part of the major amendments that the government will need to do to review this particular law. In fact, in all honesty, majority of our laws are obsolete. We're talking about 19-something, 1940, when I was not even, when I wasn't alive. And we are still using something of 1940, 1950 in this present day, 2025. So a lot needs to be rejuvenated. But of course, the idea, the intention,
Kudus, are you there? We, of course, are having a bit of connectivity issues there with Kudus Alalafia. He's a legal practitioner, and we're discussing a recent directive by the Inspector General of Police that the third-party insurance should be enforced for all vehicle owners within the country, starting from February 1st, even though we know that this has been in the law, from time immemorial. For every road user, you are meant to have at least, that road user who rides a car, who owns a car, you are meant to have at least a third-party insurance. But right now, the police has said an enforcement would commence starting from February 1st, 2025, after, of course, a meeting with stakeholders in that sector. Well, at this point, I think this is where we will, of course, draw the curtains and call it a day. Thank you so much for being a part of it. In case you missed out, you can actually catch up on our YouTube platform. That's at News Central TV. You can also follow us across social media with the same handle on your screen. You can, of course, choose to follow me personally at Darkball, at Digboye. Until I come your way tomorrow, good night.